Hello, students. Wendy Ansley, kinesiology professor here at College of the Desert. We have a well-rounded sequence today. I'm going to ask you to have with you your blocks, your strap, and possibly even a towel or blanket that we will probably use towards the end of the practice. So this is a well-balanced practice. I look forward to diving in with you onto our mat here and sharing this practice with you. Well-balanced and challenging. We're going to start, one of my favorite ways to start my practice, and sometimes I do this before I go to bed at night, is with Supta Hasta Padangustasana, lying down foot to hand pose. There's so many benefits of this sequence, of this posture, but it's also incredible for relieving the hamstrings and releasing the psoas, okay? So we're going to start with both knees lightly to the chest. And if you have a strap, some of you are going to use a strap. You're going to extend that left leg straight, and you're going to take the right leg up to about 90 degrees. And many of you will simply take the strap around the ball of the foot, and you're going to start with a little flexion with the knee almost towards the shoulder. Extension, so a little dynamic. Here we go, flexion. Knee towards the shoulder, extension. One more time, a little flexion and extension. So some of you don't have a strap, but you can take the thumb and index finger if you want. You can clasp around the big toe. Or some of you are going to continue and hold the strap with the right hand. It's up to you. Okay, I'm going to clasp around the thumb and index finger, but almost keep the strap here just as a prop, as a way to help as I guide you. I like to keep my left hand on the hip, and I'm doing the best that I can. I can bring my leg up to 90 degrees. For some of us, we're going to have a hard time. We're going to be more like this and maybe a little bent in that leg. But we're going to use the breath. We're going to focus, and we're going to breathe into those hamstrings. We're going to take either this, holding the strap with our right hand over to the side, or the thumb and the index finger around the big toe, and we're going to rest the right elbow into the ground. And I like to keep my left hand on the left hip and broaden the back of the pelvis. This is healing for the hamstrings and the pelvic hip girdle. It's a beautiful pose. And we're going to stay here several breaths. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Calm the mind. Believe in the posture. Draw that right leg up. And this is where many of us are going to adjust the strap with our left hand. For some of you, if you've got enough flexibility, you may take the left hand outside the right foot. And this is where we're going to come over onto the left hip. And then we're going to take the right hand towards the ground, trying to get the right shoulder towards the ground. We're breathing, gazing over the right shoulder, releasing the hamstrings, releasing the lower back, releasing the psoas, and we'll stay here several breaths. Gently release. Beautiful lying down foot to hand pose. And we're going to draw both knees to the chest. And now we're going to extend that right leg. We're going to take the strap. If some of us are using a strap, we may take it around kind of the midfoot here. Or some of us are going to simply clasp around the thumb and the index finger. We're going to start with a little flexion, knee towards the shoulder. Let's place the right hand on the hip. On the exhale, come into a little extension here of the leg. On the exhale, draw the knee towards the shoulder. And lengthen the leg. On the exhale, come into the flexion. On the exhale, come back into the extension. We're going to stay here and hold for a while. Some of us, again, are going to take the strap and really breathe into those hamstrings. So we're going to hold the strap with the left hand. A few of us can take the thumb and the index finger around the big toe. We're going to keep the right hip onto the mat, and we're guiding the left elbow towards the ground, breathing into the pelvic hip girdle, breathing into those hamstrings. Stay here several breaths. Draw that left leg back up. And this is where we may adjust the strap with the right hand and extend that left arm to the side. Or take the right hand outside of the left foot, come onto the right hip, and guide that left leg over, come onto the right hip, gaze over the left shoulder. We'll stay here several breaths. Beautiful release. Draw both knees to the chest, to the chest here, and we're just going to simply clasp around the shins. And we're going to breathe. This is where I like to kind of draw my knees towards my chest, but yet my heels almost towards the ground, and I want to breathe evenly into the lower right and left side of my spine. We'll stay here several breaths. Gently release, and maybe we just kind of lightly roll the back out just a few times, a little dynamic expression of the spine. Good. Coming to all fours, we'll do a little cat and cow, linking breath with movements. The hands come under the shoulders, knees under the hips. We tuck the toes. We listen to the birds sing. They sound awesome. We're going to inhale, look up, tailbone is out. Exhale, tuck the chin and belly button to the spine. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round the back. Inhale, look up. Dynamic movement. Exhale, round the back. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round the back. Push into the ground. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round the back. Beautiful. Come in just to a neutral tabletop here. And this is where sometimes I like to take the hands, draw the fingers towards me. And I'm just rocking forward and back, and I'm just kind of preparing my wrists for my practice, strengthening those wrists. We'll do that several times. Put a little bit of weight into it. Come up onto the knees here, and let's just shake out out those wrists a little bit. Beautiful. Integrating into a little shoulders Anahatasana puppy dog. So now we're still keeping the hips over the knees. The knees are hip width apart. We're pressing through the palms. I like to actually kind of tuck my toes here. And we're trying to get the forehead to the ground. And as we press into the ground, we draw the shoulder blades towards one another. We'll stay here several breaths. Inhale, exhale through the nose. Press through those palms. Eventually, sometimes we can take our chest and chin to the ground. You still feel the shoulder blades kind of coming towards the spinal column here. We're almost setting the shoulders here. We'll stay here several breaths. Beautiful work, guys. And we're going to take the blocks now, and we're going to make them shoulder width apart if we have blocks, just to get another variety of dimension here of down dog Adho Mukha. Let's start with the heel of the hands onto the blocks. We're going to lift those hips up, and we're going to come into a little dynamic expression as we heel and toe, heel and toe. Come into down dog. Stay here several breaths. Press through the palms, lengthen the spine. I want you to firm those thighs. Firm the thighs, press them back, butt up, and take the tailbone back and down. Stay here several breaths. Inhale, exhale through the nose. Calm the mind. Transition, we'll walk those feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Tailbone is out. Exhale, come into a little dynamic forward fold. We'll heel and toe here, heel and toe. Just awakening. Come into a little forward fold. Come more to the midfold. Sitting bones rise towards the ceiling. Stay here several breaths. Gently bend the knees. Swan dive up. Open the chest. Open the heart. Exhale. Heart center. Beautiful. We're going to remove the blocks here, and we're going to set our intention. And for our practice today, one thing I thought with you guys today was there is strength in solitude. Being by yourself on our mat in our yoga practice, there is strength in that. So I want you to close your eyes. Set your intention for this practice. Knowing that on the four corners of this mat, this opportunity to be by yourself, to reflect within, to observe and listen to your body, your mind, your heart, can only reap benefits. Honor this intention that we have through the practice today. Inhale, look up. Strength in solitude on our yoga mats. Beautiful. Coming into our practice today, we're going to root through the four corners of the feet. We'll start with Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, we're going to draw those arms up. Energy out the fingertips. Root through the four corners of the feet. Awaken the arches. Exhale, come into a little dynamic expression, heel and toe. Inhale, halfway lift. Many of us are hands to the shins, the thighs. The tailbone is out. We're looking forward and down. Framing the feet, we're going to step back into Falakasana, a little core awakening. Energy from the hand. I almost kind of grip my fingers onto the ground. Hasta bandha, that we'll call that, a little hand energy from the ground. Belly button to the spine, come onto the ball of the foot. The biceps almost rotate forward here, and we're going to stay here several breaths. Gently lower to the knees. I slide my hands back just a few inches. We'll do knees, chest, and chin all at the ground at the same time. Tailbone out and back. Hands close to the chest. Just doing the best that we can. On the exhale, we send those legs back. Easy Cobra. Shoulders in line with the elbows, hands by the chest here. Press through the tops of the feet, awaken the lower back. Exhale, lead with those hips. Come into Adho Mukha, down dog. Press through those palms. On the inhale, I almost feel length in the spine. On the exhale, I press through the hands, through the balls of the feet here as I try to get my heels close to the ground and draw the pubis bone back and up, still firming the thighs. Stay here several breaths. Strength in solitude. Transition forward, walk it forward. Inhale, halfway lift, either hands to the shins, the thighs to the ground. Exhale, come into forward fold. Stay here several breaths. Inhale, gently bend the knees, swan dive up, open the chest, open the heart. Listen to yourself, observe your body. Exhale, heart centered. Inhale, root through the four corners of the feet. Inhale, draw those arms up. Energy out the fingertips. Exhale, come into a little forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Tailbone out and back, gaze forward and down. Framing the feet, step back into Falakasana. Here, stay several breaths. Core awakening, belly button to the spine. Dome the upper back of it. Gently lower, we're going to do knees, chest, and chin all at the ground at the same time, the best that we can. Exhale, send those legs back, oscillating Cobra. Let's come onto the fingertips here and draw the hands under those elbows. We're going to press into the ground on a little spinal extension, and we're going to start to inhale, lengthen. Inhale, lengthen. Keep the pubis bone to the ground. Start to kind of draw the elbows almost a little bit closer. Okay, pubis bone to the ground. We're opening the chest. We're compressing the spine. Sacrum towards the knees. Draw the elbows inward just a bit. Several breaths. Strength and solitude. Exhale, come onto the stomachs. Come to all fours. Exhale, lead with the hips. Adho Mukha. This time, I want you to take those heels, widen them towards the edge of the mat. Feel those inner thighs spiraling back. Still firm the thighs. We'll stay here several breaths. Transition, we're going to walk the feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bring the sternum and chest closer to the shins if you can. Several breaths. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, root into the ground. Gently bend the knees. Swan dive up. Open the chest. Open the heart. Exhale, heart center. Cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Pada Bandha, root through the four corners, awaken the arches, spread those toes in the feet there. Draw those arms up. Clasp around the left wrist, maybe take the thumb and index finger in a Jana Mudra. Shift over to the right. We're making a little lateral flexion in the spine. Almost draw the left top ribs back. Right bottom ribs forward. Inhale, rise. Clasp around the right wrist, thumb and index finger together. Lateral flexion. Over to the left. Draw the right top ribs back. Left bottom ribs forward. Inhale, come up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands frame the feet here. We're going to walk back into down dog. We're going to transition. We're going to walk the feet together. And we're going to releve up on the balls of the feet. Exhale, lower. Inhale, releve up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, releve up. Exhale, lower. So some heel pumps. That's what those are, heel pumps. We're going to transition. Lift that left leg to hip level and almost firm that right hip. Draw that left hip inward. On the exhale, we're going to draw the knee to the chest to the nose. Place the left foot next to the left hand. Come up. Maybe one or two dynamics. And we're going to inhale. Let's take the hands together, thumb and index finger. Inhale and press through the top of the back foot. Length in the spine. Beautiful low lunge. Several breaths. Breathe into the right hip. Breathe into the shoulders. Lowering the hands, we're in Anjali Mudra, a little prayer here. We're going to add a little twist here to the right. And then extend the arms from the center of the chest. Almost, right? Energy out the hands. Yoga's multi-movement across different planes. Hands together. Face the front. Now we're adding a little transverse rotation here. And we're going to extend those arms. Maybe sink a little bit lower so that right hip begins to rotate inward. Come back. Hands together. Lower. Frame the foot. Runner's pose. Connect briefly. Come into down dog. Feet are hip width apart. Inner spiral the backs of the thighs. Now we're going to walk the feet together on this transition. Inhale, releve up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, releve up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, releve up. Exhale, lower. This time lift the right leg to hip level. Firm the left hip. Rotate that right hip inward. Draw the right knee to the chest, to the nose. Place the right foot next to the right hand. One or two dynamics. Palms come together. Index finger touches, thumbs touch. Inhale, drive those arms up. Beautiful low lunge. Firm the right hip. Breathe into the left hip. Breathe into the shoulders. Beautiful. Lower the hands, come into a little prayer here. And we're going to start where we do a little twist. A little twist here to the left. Open the arms. Good. Draw the shoulder blades almost towards each other. Energy out the fingertips. Hands come back together. And add a little transverse rotation. And now we extend. We extend energy out the fingers. The scapula kind of hugs into the back here. Energy out the fingers. Rotate that left hip inward. Hands come back to prayer. Face the front. Runner's pose. Firm that right hip. Connect. Draw that back foot forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk those hands back. If we can, come more to the midfoot. Sitting bones rise, sternum and chest close to the shins. Inhale, gently bend the knees. Swan dive up. Exhale, heart centered. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Connecting to balance and a little core work here. We're going to start with the feet together. Our hands are about shoulder width apart here and directly ahead of you. And we're going to half releve up as we prepare for a tiptoe squat. We're going to keep the ankles, knees, and shins together. The heels stay lifted here. The heels are lifted and we're in a little tiptoe squat. Try to draw the heels close together. My hands are in a little prayer position here, and I'm connecting to my ankles, to my arches, to my toes, to my Achilles, to my pelvic floor, my mula bandha. Balance. Solitude. Whoa. It's always good to challenge. Gently release. Coming into Skandasana. This is important. We do a lot of forward planks. Let's counter this. Pashimotasana. We're in Skandasana. We're going to come into an incline plank. The fingers are facing towards us, about 6 inches behind us. And now the beginners, we're going to draw our feet about hip width apart, about a foot away, I guess, from the glutes, maybe a foot and a half. We're going to press up into tabletop. You can feel the shoulder blades go towards one another in the back, but we're actually broadening the collarbones here, opening the chest. This is therapy. We're going to stay here several breaths, sacrum towards the knees, or we're going to extend the legs, pressing through the inner arches, staying here several breaths. Gently release. Totally powerful, that shoulder therapy. Pick up the feet a little bit. Let's work on mobility. If you can, try to get up without your hands and knees. And if you need to use your hands, this is where we practice. Inhale, rise. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, come into forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Either hands to the shins or the thighs. Hands to the ground. Almost framing the feet a little bit. We're going to step back into Falakasana here. Belly button to the spine, and then we're going to balance it a little bit into a side plank. Let's draw the right hand inward just a few inches and begin to press outer edge of the right foot, a little flexion. Beginners can take a kickstand, but if you can, we're going to lift that bottom hip, connect eventually, shoulders stacked over one another, Press outer edge of the right foot. Lift that bottom hip. Strengthen the shoulders. Beautiful Falacasana. Gently come into plank. Dome the upper back. Come onto the ball of the foot. Draw the left hand inward a few inches. Press outer edge of the left foot. Beginners can make this kickstand with the right foot. Eventually, though, we stack, we flex, we press outer edge of the left foot. The shoulder, left shoulder over the heel of the hand. We lift that bottom hip. Fingertips towards the ceiling. We stay here several breaths. Transition to forward plank. Lower to the knees. Let's take a wide-legged child's pose. Big toes touching. Widen the knees. Draw the palms forward. Rest the forehead into the ground. And just simply breathe into the lengthening of the spine here. Breathe into the solitude. Gently release. Come to all fours. Walk the hands forward just a few inches. Lead with those hips. Adho Mukha, down dog. And let's gently bend the legs here and think about drawing the chest close to the thighs. And this really releases the back without the hamstrings coming into play. We'll stay here several breaths. Inhale, exhale through the nose. Straighten the legs. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Come more to that midfoot. Inhale, open the chest, open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Beautiful. Come to the center of the mat. Strengthen solitude. We're going to add a little hop. And this is where we're going to come into our 5-point star. We're going to press outer edges of the feet, root under the big toe mound. Draw the big toe inwards just a bit. Awaken your arches, strengthening those intrinsic foot muscles. Draw the hands on the lower back and draw the elbows towards one another. And this way, we're kind of opening the chest too. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come forward, still pressing outer edges of the feet. Hands under the shoulders. We call this concave back, and this is healing. I am mirroring you, but you're going to adjust your right foot here, and we're coming into Skandasana. And we're going to start off with pressing outer edge of that extended leg. We're rocking it forward and back. Eventually, we're going to draw those toes up and see if we can lower the right heel to the ground. And so I'm resting my elbow inside of the right knee here. Length in the spine. I'm not slumped over. I'm trying to keep length in my spine. And now I'm growing the pose here, extending that left arm up, right arm to the ground. And this is where I might start thinking about what a bind looks like. And in my bind here, I'm clasping the hands, or I'm getting close, and I'm gazing over here. Good. Gazing over that left shoulder. Release. Adjust, hands come center. And we are adjusting this left foot, preparing for Skandasana. And I'm pressing outer edge of that extended leg, and I'm rocking forward and back. Eventually, I draw those toes up. My elbow comes inside the left knee, length in the spine. Beautiful. I might grow the pose, drawing my right arm up. Eventually, I come and kind of gaze over the right shoulder here. Gently release. Hands come forward. I walk back into my concave back. I press outer edges of the feet. I gaze forward and down. I take my hands on my hips. I inhale, belly button to the spine, and rise. Cleansing breath, inhale. Drawing those hands behind. I'm opening my chest and heart, and now I feel the scapula kind of coming towards one another. This is shoulder therapy as well. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come forward. We'll stay here several breaths. Continue and try to get the hands close to the ground. Press outer edges of the feet, root under the two big toe mounds, awaken those arches, level the pelvis. Inhale, belly button to the spine, root and rise. Heel toe it in. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Exploring different variations. Balance is so unbelievable, right? And we're going to explore tree into half moon. Rooting through the four corners of the right foot. We're facing this way right now. The left foot either as a beginner is going to come like a kickstand either to the calf, or it's going to come up very high on the thigh, but it's not going to come directly onto the knee because that's not good for the knee joint to push like that. Hands are in prayer, so either the left foot is abducted by the calf or up high on the thigh. Abduct that bent left leg. Level the pelvis. Hands to prayer or arms up. You can either widen the shoulders or draw the palms together. Find your driste. Find your gaze. Coming into body awareness, body intelligence. Lightly bend that right leg. The left leg is going to begin to come back. And we're exploring half moon. And maybe we're just here today, or maybe we come a few inches lower to the ground. Gently bend the right leg. Transition back. Virabhadrasana 2. That's a challenging one. Knee towards that pinky toe. Firm that right hip. Bring the hip back and in. Press that left thigh back. Virabhadrasana 2. On the exhale, we want to keep some room in here. Draw the elbow inside, maybe just 6 o'clock arms. Rotate that flexibility. Eventually, I want to have a gap between my torso. Maybe I externally rotate. I grow the pose to extended angle. Rotate the top pinky in. Feel the stretch from the back foot through the hips, through the crown of the head. Maybe I take my hand to the sacrum. We're going to hold extended angle, or we're going to come into the bind where we gaze over the left shoulder. Beautiful. Inhale, rise. Virabhadrasana 2. Frame the foot into plank. If we have a chaturanga or a partial chaturanga, we bring the sternum forward. Inhale, up dog. Pelvis is forward, broaden the collarbones. Exhale, down dog. Draw the right hand inward. Draw that left arm up. Left hand to the right hip. Gaze over the left shoulder. Press through that right palm in the spinal twist in down dog. Transition back to down dog. Left hand comes in the middle. We're going to draw that right arm up to the ceiling. Gaze up at the right hand. Eventually that right hand outside the left hip, and we gaze over the right shoulder. Gently release, down dog. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Forward fold. Inhale, swan dive up. Open the chest and the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Cleansing breath. Inhale. Exhale. Awesome. We're going to face this way this time. Rooting through the four corners of the left foot, we're going to draw that right foot either as a kickstand or up higher on the calf, or guide it up high on the thigh. Abducting that right leg, leveling the pelvis. Find your drishti. Find your gaze. Eventually the arms come up. Either widen the hands for the shoulders, open the shoulders, or palms come together. Keep abducting that bent leg. Vrikshasana, tree. Transitioning. We're adjusting this right leg back. We keep that left leg slightly bent and we hover. Maybe it's just here today. Maybe it's a little bit lower. Just a few inches off the ground, we open that right hip, half moon. Gently bend the left leg. We transition back to Virabhadrasana 2, knee towards the pinky toe. Gaze over the left hand. Draw that left hip inward. Keep a little space here. Draw that elbow on the inside, working on rotational flexibility here, leveraging the torso. Eventually, hands come on the inside. We grow the pose from the back foot, through the hip, through the crown of the head. And this is where we rotate that pinky in. And maybe we lower the hips just a bit. Some of us may take the right hand to the sacrum. Add the bind. Gaze over the right shoulder. Transition back to warrior two. Frame the foot. Whatever your transition is, maybe it's plank, maybe it's down dog, maybe it's child's pose, maybe it's chaturanga. Up dog. Exhale, down dog. Draw the left hand in the center of the mat, draw that right arm up. Many of you simply stay here, or we take the right hand to the left hip. We gaze over that right shoulder. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. I'm so proud of you guys. Lower the right hand. Draw that right hand under the face here. Draw that left arm up towards the ceiling. Many of you simply stay here. Some of you might take the left hand to the right hip, gaze over the left shoulder. Release. Come into down dog. Let's do a cleansing breath together in down dog. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And just 3 more breaths. Inhale, exhale through the nose. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Beautiful. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we're in halfway lift. Exhale, walk those hands back, come into forward fold. Let's bring the hands by the heels, if we can. Bring the sternum and chest close to the shins. Reflect within, strength and solitude. Observe your mind, your thoughts. Gently bend the knees, swan dive up. Open the chest, open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. This moment in time, this presence of solitude, just has so many profound effects on how we interact with and treat ourselves and others, right? It truly, truly does. We're going to start with, we'll start with the right foot on this side so you can see me, okay? Hip stability. We're going to strengthen the back side of our body in Virabhadrasana 3. We're going to start with the left knee up. We're going to gently extend that left leg back. Good. We're going to internally rotate that left leg. You can keep the airplane arms, or we can draw those arms together. We're strengthening the entire back side of our body. Transition back to crescent moon. Up on the ball of the back foot, create length in the spine. Exploring revolved crescent moon, right hand on the hip, left arm up. On the exhale, we're trying to gain the left elbow outside of the knee. Beginners may lower the knee to the ground on this, but if you can, you're going to come into the pose, eventually prayer twist, leveraging the torso. See how I'm leveraging that torso? Eventually I lift. You see how I'm leveraging it? I'm leveraging, rotating that torso, drawing that right pinky inward. Many different levels. Some of us may take the right hand outside the left hip, come into the revolved crescent moon, gazing over the right shoulder. Right hand on the hip, transition back crescent moon. come into down dog. That's a tough one, guys. Many different levels we threw out there for you. Many different levels to work on. Transition to Falacasana plank. Gently lower onto the stomachs. Draw those elbows in for Sphinx pose. So now our feet are hip width apart. I press to the tops of the feet, and I'm opening my chest, but I'm compressing my lower back here. Stay here several breaths. I want to deepen the stretch. Press through the palms. Pelvis stays on the ground. Transition into down dog. Heels close to the ground, press through the palms, lengthen the spine. Walk the hands and the feet towards one another. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, walk those hands back, deep forward fold. Inhale, swan dive up. Open the chest, open the heart. Exhale, heart centered. Beautiful. We're going to come to the edge of the mat this way so you can mirror me here. So we can see each other this way. So we're going to root through the four corners of the left foot, and we're going to just truly be present and just do the best that we can. Draw that right leg up. Shifting that right leg back, we are in Virabhadrasana 3. Rotate that right hip. Level the pelvis. Eventually, a few of us may extend those arms. Transitioning back to crescent moon. Left hand on the hip, right arm up. Create this torso twist here. As we exhale, we're drawing the right elbow outside of the left knee. Some of you may lower the knee, and that's okay for beginners. You can stay here. Eventually, prayer twist. The next phase is to press the right hand and see how I kind of leverage that torso off the leg, a little rotation here. Draw that right pinky inward just a bit. Rotate that right hip forward. Eventually, left hand outside the right hip. Come into the twist. Possibly gazing over the left shoulder. Left hand on the hip. Transition. Crescent moon. Frame the foot. Down dog. Transition to Falakasana. Gently lower onto the stomachs. We're going to draw those elbows in. We're going to press those palms out. Feet are hip width apart. We press through the palms. We broaden the chest, and we compress the lower spine. Knees are off the ground. Sacrum towards the knees. Compression of the spine. Stay here several breaths. Coming into seal pose, pressing through the palms, deepening this spinal compression. Seal pose, pubis bone to the ground, open the chest, compress the spine, spinal extension. Gently release. Come onto the stomachs. Let's rest the forehead to the ground, several breaths. Beautiful. We worked really hard today. Connecting our external rotators of our hips and our shoulders. We're coming into Gomukhasana here, and I'm going to mirror you. If you have a block, you might take one nearby. You may even take a strap if that helps you for the shoulders. I don't mind doing this really without a strap, even just getting close to it. We're going to lift both legs up by mirroring you. You're going to draw the right leg over the left, and we're going to come forward in life to come back several times. Forward in life to come back the best that we can. Sometimes we sit on a block or a blanket. Sometimes we kind of just do the best that we can. We adjust where we are and we come into this pose and we connect. We're aware in the solitude, we are aware that we are releasing these outer hip, right? These outer hips, that's what we're doing. And we're healing the shoulder girdles as well. Some of you, if you have a strap, you're going to take this left arm up. You're going to guide it down the back. And you're going to press the head into the back of the arm. Then you're going to take the right thumb and rotate it inward. We call this the internal rotation. Either clasping the strap or clasping the fingers, but still pressing the head into the back of the top of the arm and realizing this is shoulder therapy. We're going to stay here several breaths. If you can touch your hands easily, you may come forward just like this, right? I like to just kind of let everything go. Take my block and rest my forehead onto the block and breathe into this release of the hips. Inhale, rise. We're going to work on this transition. We're going to draw both legs up. Shift the left leg over the right. And we're going to shift forward and back. Forward and back. Beautiful. So again, some of us might sit on a block, a blanket. We'll take the strap. For some of us, we're going to take that right arm up, externally rotate it, and we're guiding the strap and the hand down the spine. We're going to take the left thumb, rotate it, and this is healing as we internally rotate and try to clasp the strap or the fingers, but yet press the head into the back of the top of the arm. Staying here several breaths. Gently release. Or you can come forward, right? It's up to you. And we're going to take the block, come forward, rest the forehead onto the block. Breathe into those outer hips. We'll stay here a little bit of time here. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, melt into the ground. Inhale and rise. Moving to symmetry here. We're going to come into Pashimotasana, a forward fold. And this is where we start in Skandasana, and we kind of take those hips, we make sure that they're upright and almost moving forward. For those of us that struggle with that, we can take our strap and help us as we try to come into this pose. Okay, a little bit farther. For those of us that have the flexibility, we may take the block. We want to keep outer edges of the feet coming back. We want to engage those quadriceps, release those hamstrings. That's what we do. We engage agonist to release the antagonist. Inhale, draw those arms up. Exhale, come forward. 2 more inches, 3 more inches, 4 more inches before you hunker down, and we'll stay here a while. Beautiful forward fold. Breathe into releasing the back, releasing the hamstrings. Breathe into our intention, our solitude on the mat. Inhale and rise. This is where we're going to get the blanket out for many of us. You don't have to have a blanket, but if you don't practice this pose regularly, it's a safety thing, so I encourage you to do that. Just gives you a little bit of a lift, okay? It gives me a little half an inch there. Halasana is designed to stimulate the abdominal organs as well as the thyroid gland. What I like about it is it almost just did the opposite of our forward fold, and now we're going to come onto our backs and lengthen the spine and open our shoulders in just a unique way, as well as healing, because yoga is a science of healthy living. Onto my mat, onto the blanket, I like to protect the lower third of my cervical vertebrae, and this just gives it a little bit of a lift here. I'm going to actually back out another inch just so you can see me. So here I am, and the lower third of my neck is protected, a little lift. I draw my knees to my chest. I press my palms to the ground. And I exhale and come into the pose. I like to press the tops of my feet to the ground, lengthen my spine. Eventually, I clasp my hands. I come up high on the shoulders, and I'm still pressing through the feet, drawing the sitting bones to the ceiling, creating length in the spine. Halasana, plow pose. And when I bring my sternum and chest close to my chin, which is what I'm doing, I'm stimulating the thyroid gland. We'll stay here a while. Some of you may even take your feet up high on a wall if you struggle with this. Or you may take the blocks behind. You might pause, do the best that you can to explore Halasana. Press through the tops of both feet, sitting bones towards the ceiling, sternum close to the chin, and broaden the shoulders. Perhaps we bend the knees, we come to Pashimotasana pose, ear squeezing pose. We bend the knees, they squeeze outside the ears. Gently lower, lowering one vertebrae at a time. Let's come onto the backs here. Let's counter it just a bit with drawing both knees to the chest. Now, guide both knees over to the right. Extend that left shoulder to the ground. Gaze over that left shoulder. Draw both knees up. Gaze over to the left. Right shoulder to the ground. Gaze over the right shoulder. Beautiful. Draw both knees to the chest, just lightly clasp around the shins, and just breathe evenly as we draw the knees to the chest, but yet the heels to the ground, and think of getting the lower back touching the ground. Symmetry. Solitude. This is where we might take the blanket and prepare for our Shavasana. Often, they'll take a blanket and they place it right to kind of soften the head. And we will come into a little Shavasana here, truly letting everything go, coming into solitude at its finest, relaxing the palms, relaxing the feet. The breath is just natural, just let go. Preparing to come out of our Shavasana, little movements in your fingers and toes. Gently bend the knees. Right arm over the head. Use the left hand to press yourself up. Reflecting back on our intention of our practice. The ability to find solitude on our mats. Honor your effort, your intensity, the intention, your positive thoughts. Namaste. This is where often when I come up, I actually kind of do One last down dog as I transition. Walking the hands and feet towards one another. Just briefly swan dive up. Very proud of you guys.